In this video, we are going to talk about one of my favorite topics, and that is course launch strategy, and one that is simple, not complicated, and actually works. And I know it works because I've had launches for my courses anywhere from $15,000 up to $40,000 in just a 10-day period. And so if you want proof of that, I have a free document with all of my launch numbers for my courses that'll be down in the description. You can download that totally for free and just see it for yourself. But I'm going to give you exactly what that strategy is, an overview of that inside of this video right now. So step number one to this course launch strategy is to prime your audience, okay? The more you prime your audience and the more that you serve them before your launch week, the better your launch is actually going to go. So many people neglect this, or, they start ramping up their social media efforts and their email marketing efforts maybe a week or two before they launch something, and then they ghost them in between every single launch and they wonder why their launches aren't impactful. And it's because you want to be serving people in between your launches. It's the idea of like serve, and then sell. So you're not just constantly selling, but you're showing up and serving and leading with value first, and honestly becoming like the go-to person on that topic. So if you're launching, let's say, a course on nutrition for runners, you want to make sure that you are the go-to person for that topic because you share about that topic, you give free tips, you position yourself as the expert, you have stories that you're telling that relate back to that topic. And people, when they see that topic, when they think of nutrition for people who are runners, you're immediately the person that comes to mind. For example, for me, I want to become the person, and I am the person that's known for YouTube marketing and doing that for business owners. Like, what is the thing that you want to be known for, and how can you show up and share about that over and over and over again in different ways in your social media marketing and also your email marketing as well? Again, big takeaway from this, the stronger the runway, the stronger the launch. You want to make sure you have a really strong runway in between your launches and leading up to your launch. I usually try to aim for at least 4 to 6 weeks before I'm going to launch something, that all of my content and email marketing is super valuable and related to the topic of whatever I'm going to launch. So if I'm launching my YouTube for Business course, then all my content is going to be about growing a business using YouTube, right? Does that make sense? Does that correlate? Okay, let's move on to the next one. Step number 2 is to plan your launch event. A huge key piece of this strategy and what is going to make it work is hosting a live launch event. And it doesn't have to be complicated or, over the top, but this is something like a live webinar or a live challenge. It could even be something like a private pop-up podcast that you are putting together and you are sending to your community that then leads them to purchasing your new offer or your existing offer from you with the urgency that you've decided, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But essentially, this is to help, build hype around your business, to get people excited about something, and typically when there's typical conversion rates for however many people sign up for that live event to how many people will become a paying customer for your course if you do it right. And so I actually talk more about this inside my online course starter kit. It's a full guide to creating and launching your first online course, and everything I've learned over the past over 4 years of creating online courses at this point, how to create it efficiently and effectively and also launch it into the world really well. So if you have any interest in that, we'll put a link down in the description. It's less than $100. I do not see this information offered outside of high ticket courses or masterminds. It is juicy stuff. And so I would love for you to check it out down below. Step number 3 for a course launch strategy that works is to create your deadlines and your urgency and stick to them. Create those dates ahead of time and know exactly what the structure is going to be of your launch. And for the integrity of your launch and your brand, please stick to them pretty much all of the time. I am a huge fan of, one, you need to know these dates so you know how to best prepare your live event and prepare for your launch week, right? But I am a huge fan of communicating this throughout the launch week, like, hey, this, bonus expires on this day, or hey, this discount expires on this day. You need to decide those things ahead of time and know, when is this discount going to expire? When is this bonus going to expire? And make sure that you're sticking to that and not be, getting in the habit of, like you want a few more signups. So you're going to announce to your audience that you've decided to extend the sale by a couple of days. That can be a great strategy that you can incorporate every once in a while, but overall, you want to stick to it, because I've also found that if I'm sticking to my own deadlines that I tell my people and not extending it all of the time, then they're going to actually take me seriously next time when I say that something is going to expire. And so it's kind of, this step 3 is deciding like, what's the incentive going to be? Is it going to be a discount? Is it going to be a bonus? Typically when I launch a course for the first time, I talk more about this in the online course starter kit, I will offer like a launch week, but like discount, and then I'll also throw in a bonus or something like that as a thank you for being a founding member of my course. And so really it's just deciding like, what discount are you going to offer? What if you're going to offer any bonuses? Is there going to be an extra bonus if they come to the webinar? That's a really great strategy that I've implemented. You also have to decide like, what those exact dates are going to be when they're going to expire. I typically love a good 5-day public launch window, Monday through Friday, for my audience, because I have an audience that is mainly business owners and we operate more on a Monday through Friday schedule and we're thinking about business things. I typically find that works well for me. When I've had launches begin or end on the weekend, I just find it doesn't convert as well, but it could totally depend on your audience. Maybe you have an audience mostly that are moms. Like maybe you teach them, you're someone who teaches about toddlers in the toddler stage of motherhood, and maybe ending your launch on a weekend would be a great idea. But I typically find 5 days to be a really good amount of time for just me and my own pace and keeping up, and also for my audience to have enough time to decide, but not enough time where they'll dilly-dally and not decide. So I typically have my launches, I'll do a live webinar or live event the week before leading up to the launch. So on Thursday or Friday, if I'm doing a webinar, that following Monday, then it goes live to my entire audience through my email list. And then the sale will end, or the launch will end on Friday. So that's the overall structure of how my launches are and what they look like. Step number 4 is to plan out your content. So this is where you're actually gonna put some of these things into action, as far as starting to create the social media content, creating the priming content, creating the sales week content. And again, online course starter kit, I get into detail about what I'm doing in these different time frames, but I typically, from a bird's eye view, I spend the 4 to 6 weeks before my launch really leaning into social media content, giving value through my YouTube content, giving value to my email list. The 1 to 2 weeks, usually 10 days before my live event begins, that's when I start promoting it to my email community, social media community, YouTube community. And then once the live event has begun and we're moving into launch week, where we're actually pitching more and trying to make more sales, then I back off of social media a little bit more and I actually focus even more on my email list. I send a lot more emails during that week, because that's where most of my actual sales come from. So my idea is, if I can get as many people from my community, outward community on, with my YouTube community or in social media, if I can get those people onto my email list, then I'm gonna start selling to them during launch week. And during launch week, I've just found from my personal experience launching, if I rely solely on social media to sell my course during launch week, I don't get as many sales. My views and reach go way down. I don't have as many conversions. I'm seeing most of those conversions through my email list. And then I've also started incorporating, again, doing Facebook ads to my warm audience. I've seen great conversions from that, just spending $100 to $200 in a course launch week. But I, for the most part, during a launch week on social media, my Instagram stories, my Instagram feed, I'm just very focused on nurturing and just staying top of mind. And yes, of course, I'll mention the launch a few times here and there, but definitely not super in your face, because I would rather reach more people and stay top of mind. So when they see my email again later, they're oh yeah, that's that girl that shared about hanging out with her toddlers earlier this afternoon. You know what I mean? That's more what I'm doing with my warm audience content on social media. Step number 5 to creating a great launch plan is to implement this tech stack for your launch. And when I say tech stack, what that typically means is, what are all the different tech pieces that you need for your launch to happen? And think through what you're going to need. Is there anything additional you're going to need? Any additional help you're going to need? And I'm a huge fan of using Kajabi. They will take care of most of this stuff for you, so you're not in 10 different programs all over the place. If you have any interest in checking out Kajabi, it's how I host my online courses. I've used it ever since my first course in 2020. You can actually get a 30-day free trial with with my link. If you use my link specifically, it gives you an extra couple of weeks, which adds up to like a couple $100 when you're thinking about how much you would pay for those couple of weeks. So if you want to check it out, the link will be in the description. But I am a huge fan of, using Kajabi. We use that for a lot of different things. And it's thinking through things like, what is, where are you going to host your sales page? How are you going to host your checkout link? Where are you going to host the webinar? Where are you going to send emails? And where are you building your email list? All those different pieces you need to think about what you need to implement to be able to actually execute on your launch. And if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that I love Flowdesk, and I actually have a link that will give you 50% off Flowdesk for your first year. So if you have any interest in Flowdesk, it's a really beautifully designed email platform that's very intuitive and easy to use for beginners. And also, you don't pay more for more subscribers. So as my list grows, my rate stays the same, unlike any other email platform out there. It's actually pretty incredible, and I still use Flowdesk to this day. So if you have any interest in checking that out, I'll also add a link to that in the description. And then I wanted to leave you guys with one last bonus tip, and something that, especially in this past year, has helped me and my tiny but mighty team a lot with launches, is make sure that you are working ahead. Okay, I cannot stress this enough. When you are looking to launch something, don't wait until the week of to write your emails. Don't wait until the day before to create your webinar slides. Be working ahead as much as possible. For our team, we have started implementing a 10-day deadline. So before webinar happens, 10 days before, we aim to have, the webinar set up and ready to go. My webinar slides done. And then after that, it's just putting final tweaks on everything. And that really helps to make sure that launches don't feel stressful, that we actually have fun with it. We give ourselves even the ability and extra time to have fun with our launches. And so I really encourage you to think about that as well and implementing that when you're thinking about launching something and planning accordingly for that. And again, if you want to learn my entire system on creating and launching a course, I have that online course starter kit. It's an interactive ebook, and it also has some video tutorials linked within it that help you to create and launch your course in 90 days. I give you a Trello board that gives you an overview of exactly, what are the big steps I need to be taking each week in order to get my course launched in that 90-day time period, and what's realistic and what I need to be working on every single week. So if you have any interest in learning about that, it's really truly something I've poured so much of myself into, because I know for so long I'm not going to have the capacity to take on, higher ticket clients because I have little babies at home, or create another huge online course on online courses. And this is something you guys really wanted, and I think plays such a unique role right now in the online course space, because a lot of this information you have to pay, a high level coach or an expensive course in order to get access to it. So it is a do-it-yourself option, and it's an ebook that's a little bit more interactive, very fun to read. So if you guys have any interest in that, we'll add a link down in the description for that as well. And thank you guys for watching. I hope this was helpful as always. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to drop a comment, and we would love to answer any follow-up questions you have or create more videos on online course strategy in the future. And I'll see you guys next week again on Tuesday. Bye guys.